Bom dia. Welcome back. Last year, about this time, I did an episode on what are my monthly costs. Here in Bahia, Brazil. And turns out that it's now my most popular, my most viewed episode on my YouTube channel. So I thought I'd do another one, an update 1 year later, and see how my costs have changed. The main difference, of course, is a year ago I was living in a small city in the interior of the state of Bahia. Living costs were lower, particularly rent. And now I'm living in big city Salvador, where things are a bit more expensive, but I think you'll still be surprised about how low my monthly expenses are. So let's take a look. The first thing I just want to say that when I made that video last year, my rent at that time, now of course I pay for everything in Brazilian reais, but I've converted everything in dollars, US dollars for you, was that my rent a year ago in that small provincial city was the equivalent of $130 a month, yep. $130 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in a closed condominium with a swimming pool and beautiful grounds. And I remember I had one viewer, a Brazilian who lives in the United States, and he basically accused me of being a liar. Impossible, he said. Well, I can only assume that his experience in Brazil is living in Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo. Well, of course, it would be impossible to find a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment for $130 a month. You know, just like if you live in New York City or Los Angeles, you're not going to find, your cost of living is not going to be so low. But, you know, I wasn't living. I'm not living in Rio de Janeiro or Sao Paulo. I'm living in the state of Bahia, in the northeast of Brazil. Cost of living is much, much lower. So yes, I was paying the equivalent of $130 a month. And I was not lying. I don't mind people disagreeing or questioning, but I don't like being called a liar. Okay, that, compared to a year ago, is the main expense of mine. Sorry, I'm looking down at my monthly budget now. Has the thing that has gone up the most, which is, you know, understandable given that I've moved to a much bigger city. Salvador, the capital of the state of Bahia. So costs are going to be a bit higher. So I just want to remind you that my monthly income is $1,500 a month. That is what I get in Social Security every month, and that is my sole source of income. So that's what I'm working with, $1,500 a month. And you can imagine in the United States, especially in the state of California where I lived, it doesn't go very far. I would basically be homeless. I would have to get on a waiting list for subsidized senior housing and cross my fingers, and it'd probably take years for my name to come up. So life would not be good on $1,500 a month in the United States. However, my life in Brazil is quite good. Let's start with rent. What do I pay here in rent for this 1-bedroom, 2-bathroom, living room, kitchen, and 2 outdoor patios? The one I'm always showing you with my plants, and the back patio, which I almost never go back there. I pay the equivalent of $350 a month. Yep, $350 a month, and I'm in an excellent neighborhood. I'm just 2 blocks from the beach. I have everything at my fingertips where I live. Supermarkets, restaurants, cafes, music venues, you name it. It's right here in my neighborhood. Now my rent a year ago was $130 a month. So you can see that's an increase, but a perfectly understandable increase considering I've moved to big city Salvador. Next, we've got utilities. I'm putting at $46 a month. That's for electricity and water. Now, I have never used air conditioning. I don't need air conditioning. I find it environmentally unsound. I get along perfectly fine with a couple of large fans. When I'm home, I've always got at least one fan on. I sleep all night with a fan on me. But that does the trick, and I'm comfortable with those fans as long as they're, close to me. I don't need air conditioning. So that's what I pay in utilities. Next, let's look at my cell phone. I have a very simple monthly cell phone plan. What is it, 50 reais a month? So it comes to $9.30, US $9.30. I get unlimited calls within Brazil. Of course, everybody uses, including me, uses WhatsApp for their calls. So, that's totally free. Even to call internationally, I use WhatsApp. So if you don't have WhatsApp, I highly recommend you get it. So that's what I pay for my cell phone. Netflix. Now, I like Netflix. I pay the equivalent of $4.60 monthly for my Netflix subscription and get the movies and documentaries I want to see in English, Portuguese, and Spanish. Next, YouTube. I like YouTube a lot, and of course, as a YouTuber myself, it's helpful to have, YouTube Premium. So there's no commercial interruptions. And I pay the equivalent here in Brazil of $4.90 a month. It's well worth it. Again, I get to watch all sorts of YouTube videos in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So between YouTube and Netflix, I get lots of home entertainment. Next is my subscription to the New York Times. I'm a lifetime New York Times reader. What I pay for, the subscription here in Brazil, is 80 cents a month. Can't live without my New York Times. Food. My food budget is a little bit higher. I think I had budgeted $167 a month out there in the small city where I was living, and now I budget $200 a month. You have a lot more food options here in big city Salvador, a lot more cafes and restaurants. Now, I'm a vegetarian, so that probably helps keeping my food costs down. But I like to eat out. I'm not much of a cook, but I budget $200 a month for food. Transportation. I budget $25 a month. I'm a big walker. As you probably know if you watch my episodes, I walk 2 or 3 hours a day, exploring the city. Great exercise. But I occasionally take a city bus. But when I do need transportation, it's generally an Uber. And Ubers are inexpensive here. So spend on average about $25 a month on Ubers. Medications. Now, I am 1 month shy of 71 years old. If you're younger and you're healthy and you don't need medications, congratulations. Try to stay that way. As you can see, after rent, it's my biggest expense. Primarily because I have diabetes and I take that expensive medication Ozempic. And that's almost $200 a month here in Brazil, quite a bit cheaper than it is up in the United States, where it's almost $1,000 a month. And then I take a few more medications. Medications here are generally much more less expensive than in the United States. I wouldn't be able to afford most of my medications if I had to pay for them in the United States. So the grand total comes to, for my monthly expenses, $890 a month. Remember now that my income is $1,500 a month. Now, last year, my total income was only, when I added all of these expenses up, was only $615 a month. It's gone up to $890, but that's because of my increased rent, moving to big city Salvador. Then savings. I try to put in $400 a month into my savings account every month. Now, I just moved, and that involved a lot of one-time expenses that I normally don't have. So I haven't put $400 in this month, or won't put in the next couple of months. But once I get all of my moving expenses paid off, I'll go back to saving $400 a month. So that brings me to a grand total of $1,290 a month. And remember, I get $1,500 a month. So where does that additional $210 go? I consider that my mad money, my discretionary spending money, which I use primarily towards travel, both local travel to the region that I live in, and I try to get up for a short visit to the United States once a year, and I want to do some more international travel. So that goes into like a travel fund. Or sometimes it's just mad money for doing something crazy. You know, I've got a plant addiction, so I'll buy a new plant or two, or some kind of new decoration that's unique to this region of Brazil. So as you can see, on my $1,500 a month income, Social Security income, I live very, very well, under budget. My monthly budget comes to $1,290, and that includes $400 in savings. If I can do it, all of you can do it, because I am not the most disciplined person in the world, as you probably just saw on my last episode. I had this, plan to not spend any money except on food for the next 6 weeks. And then yesterday I go out and I find this great thing at this plant market that popped up in the upper city, and I bought this plant thing. So I'm not the most disciplined person. So if I can live on that budget that I've just showed you, certainly you can. Now, it means learning to live like a local. And that's always the difficult part. If you watch other YouTubers talk about cost of living and living abroad, you got to try as well as you can to live like a local. Now, here in Brazil, I know a lot of people who live on minimum wage, which is, about equivalent to US $300 a month. And they have a roof over their heads, and they have food on the table. I'm not suggesting that anybody try to live on $300 a month, but what I'm saying is that Baianos here, people who live in the state of Bahia, live on much, much less than many live on much less than $1,500 a month. And if your Social Security is $1,200 a month or $1,000 a month, well, as you just saw in my budget, my total budget was $890 a month. So you can do it too. And I don't mean just in Brazil. As I've said before, Brazil is not the easiest country to land in and become a long-term resident. It's not impossible. I did it. But, there are over 200 countries in the world. Most places in Latin America, Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe, other places around the world, you can also live on this kind of budget. You've got to find your own sweet spot and make it happen. But I'm just telling you that it's possible. I do it. And if I can do it, as undisciplined as I am at times, so can you. Nobody has to feel like they're trapped in their home country, be it the United States, Canada, Europe, on a fixed income or a low income. And I'm not just talking about seniors. I'm a senior, so I get Social Security. But, the first time I moved abroad long term, I was in my 30s. I moved to Mexico. And I certainly was not getting Social Security in my 30s. What did I do? I got a job as an English teacher. And nowadays, of course, you can do that, but you've also got lots of online opportunities for working abroad, selling things online, what's it called? When you have a job but you work off-site. Come on, Michael. Enter the 21st century. You can be a global nomad and work from any site if you've got those kind of skills. So you can make it happen no matter what your age is what I want to say. Anyway, come along with me as I go on with the rest of my day here in Salvador. Friends, in over 40 years of traveling to and living in Latin America, this is the very first time I've ever used a self-service laundromat. Surprisingly, they have quite a few of them here in Salvador. They're not usual. I mean, I lived in Mexico City and I hated washing my clothes by hand, but I had to leave my washing machine behind when I moved a few weeks ago, so I'm using a self-service laundromat. It works really very well. I hope to soon get my own washing machine, but I'm quite pleased. Before I leave, I just want to say one thing about this laundromat, self-service laundromat. It is so clean and efficient. You don't even need coins. You just pay with your debit or credit card. That I think I may not buy a washing machine, avoid that expense, and just walk the 2 blocks here to this laundromat and wash my clothes here from now on. Whoa, I just walked out of the laundromat and look at this view. Look at that ocean. Absolutely gorgeous. I really do live in paradise. Before I go home and show you my current monthly budget, taking my daily long walk. Today I'm walking up the Avenida Centenario, which is a major thoroughfare in Salvador that starts and ends in my neighborhood and goes uphill. Uh-oh, look what I just came across on my daily long walk. This crafts or sale here in Campo Grande. And look what they're selling. All sorts of objects made out of clay, red clay, a pots for plants. Oh my God. I so need and want pots, clay pots, because as I've said before, I hate plastic. The plastic pots, when you buy a plant, it comes in plastic. Oh boy, I need to control myself. But this is one of the beauties of Salvador. Go on a walk and you're always going to come across something new, something you haven't seen before, some new temptation. Wow, I know I say it all the time, but I'm going to say it again. I love this city. Plants over here. This is why I'm having such a hard time saving any money. Just too many temptations here. There are always temptations when you go for a walk in Salvador, but I love that. This is like I just died and went to heaven, coming across all these plants for sale. Normally this does not happen here in Campo Grande. I'm not sure how long these are going to be here, but it's nice. And there are other kind of crafts down this Rua Talentos da Bahia. Arts and crafts from Bahia. Let's go down here and check this out. Oh, I like these things made out of wood. Yeah, I can really not justify getting a plant, but maybe a clay pot. Okay, folks, I have no willpower. I got one of these. I know, people. I'm bad. I'm a bad boy. In my last episode the other day, I said I had no money, just enough to feed myself, that I couldn't buy anything frivolous for the next 6 weeks. And look what I just bought at this, what is it, a craft and plant fair here in Campo Grande in the center of Salvador. Sorry, but this spot pushed all of my buttons. Arts and crafts, and especially plants. Couldn't resist. This thing I bought, which is going to go into my little patio garden, cost 80 reais, which is what? Is about, I don't know, $16? Seemed worth it to me. I'll just suffer a little bit more. I was willing to make the sacrifice for the pleasure that these kind of things bring to me when I wake up in the morning and look at my patio, and all throughout the day and the evening as I look out on my patio. So no regrets. Well, folks, I got a long walk ahead of me home, carrying this heavy thing that I just bought. But that's the price and sacrifice I have to make for spontaneous, spur-of-the-moment purchases that I find on my long walks. I always tell myself, it's good exercise. Wow, I will never ever get tired of this view of the Bay of All Saints that I'm looking at right now as I descend from the upper city down to the shore where I live. I'm walking down a hill here. I believe it's called the Ladeira de Bahia. And this view is absolutely gorgeous. You can see Itaparica across the wide Bay of All Saints. You can really see why I love this city so much. It's always a feast for the eyes. Okay, I've got it on my patio now, and no regrets. I love it. It's got some kind of plant coming out of it. Is that an orchid? I'm not sure, but I watered it. Now all I need is a little bird to fly in and live in the little house. Thanks for joining me today. As always, beijo, ciao. See you soon.